Welcome back to Allison Customs Project Car TV. I'm Jeff Allison, and thank you for watching.
Hey guys, welcome to Allison Customs Project Car TV. This video you're going to see me build this spoiler and how it's attached. It's removable, so it can all be body worked, and the deck lid is going to be a different color than the spoiler. So without any more delay, we'll get started here. Thanks for watching. So what I've got is a piece of 2" by 1/4" flat bar that I plan to make a spoiler for this Chevelle out of, and you'll see me grinding on it here in a minute. I've been slowly grinding out the shape of the trunk lid that has a curve to it and everything, and then it has a peak in the center, which we're going to use. I've kind of cut a groove in here, so let me show you that. So I kind of cut a groove in here, and what I plan to do is bend this so that it'll hit the peak of this trunk lid. There's a little, just from there to here, there's actually a peak in the trunk lid, and then it flattens out. And I want to accentuate that by putting a peak in the backside of this, putting the bend essentially right there on that peak. And I've scribed a line here, or marked a line, 1", and I just kind of picked where I thought it looked good. 1" off the trunk lid there, and it comes straight across an inch here. And then this has got the curvature to it. So what I've got is I scribed that line along there simply by holding it up here, getting it pretty close to the angle and everything I thought it would look good at, and then marking it with a marker. And I still need to take, maybe, looks like about another 1/8 of an inch here. So I'll mark it again, get back over there and scribe it out again. So, but it's coming together, it's getting close. My current thinking is that once I get it where I want it, get it all scribed out, is that I will mark on here, probably put 1, 2, 3, at least 4, maybe 6, probably number 10 screws. What I'll do is drill this out on the backside and tap it so that the screws could go right here. We're at the double thickness, so I'll drill all the way through and then I'll need to put a slug between the two skins so it doesn't squeeze the skin or pull down on this, and then can screw that down on there, and then I'll trim up the edges and probably going to curve these in just a little bit on each end, kind of put a little bit of shape to it. So right now I guess I just need to rescribe this side onto this metal and keep grinding at it a little bit and see where we get. So what we do is line up the center marks, get this on our line, and we want the gap on this end and the gap at the center to be basically the same. And we just run the pin, trying to hold the same angle all the way down, and we get us a new line. And as you can tell, we got some places as little as a 1/16 of an inch to take off. Over here in a couple places, maybe close to 1/8 of an inch. So we'll go back over to the vise, lock this thing in, grind those off. Keep working it until it just fits the skin dead on. Then we'll do the other side the same way. Once we have both, then we'll put the bend in it to match the angle here, and then we'll start trying to figure out where we want to bolt it down at. And then the last thing we'll do is put the curves in on it. And the goal not only is to make a little spoiler, but one of the things we don't want is we don't want it to where somebody can push down on it like that and actually bend the sheet metal or bend the trunk lid or anything. So it needs to be pretty strong coming through there, and I'm not sure just bending it's going to be enough. It may have to have a pie cut out of it, in which case I'll do one side and then the other. So the back and forth to the vise with the grinder a couple times, and I may have just a little bit more dressing to do right there. But when I line everything up, it sits pretty darn close. I have maybe a little high spot in here, and possibly like right through here, and ever so slightly high. To the point where I don't want to have too much of a gap to where it would pull up the skin and then make the trunk lid have little waves in it, because then we just have to body work that. But to the point where we could probably body work the bottom of this and push it on, screw it down, let that harden up, and then pull it back off. Just put tape over the actual trunk lid so it would come back off. But I'll probably do just a little more dressing on both of those ends so it sits down as close as I can get it. And then it'll be time to do the same thing over here. And once this side, which right now, if you get one side in place, the other side's about 3/8 of an inch off, so there's quite a bit of material that has to come out of the middle. That side's very close, and that's about all I'm looking for, is just a subtle spoiler. Nothing outrageous, nothing real large. The goal is to make this in black and then the panel in the orange, so it'll stand out a little bit on there, which is why I'm wanting to be able to bolt it on. Let's come along. Let me touch this ends up again, and then I'm going to start grinding on this end, and then I'll bring you back once that end's done and I'm ready to put the V in it, and we'll see if we're going to have to pie cut it or if it's just going to let me fold it. I'm afraid that just folding it is not really going to achieve what I was after. But we'll see. Worst case, we cut it, pie cut it wherever we need it. And I left it about a 1/4 inch long on both sides, so if I have to pie cut it or whatever, I've got some material there to be able to suck it in. So let's get that done. So when I started on the deck lid here, I knew about what I wanted to do, something really simple, just real subtle, not a big spoiler, nothing huge out there. It needs to be stable. It needs to be if somebody pushes down on it or was to open or close the trunk by using it. It's not going to bend the sheet metal. So there's a couple different steps after I kind of got the idea of how big I wanted it. So I basically ran through a couple different steps after getting an idea how big I wanted, and I basically started with a 2-inch tall by a 1/4 inch flat bar, just flat bar steel. And you'll see that I started out with it full length without the bend in it, and figured out pretty quickly that this bend was going to require pie cutting the steel. So I ended up cutting it in half. But anyway, I got it laid out, and I just basically took a steel rule about 1 inch wide and laid it down here. There's a body seam right above the lip here, and I just laid that on there and then used that to mark a line, basically 1 inch in to the center and then 1 inch that way. And there's a peak right here, so I wanted to hang on to that peak in the spoiler. Once I had all that laid out, I laid out my spacing for my bolts, and I probably went a little excessive. Probably could have got away with maybe just 2 in here, a total of 4 on each. So I laid out my bolt holes and just marked the first one in approximately 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the trunk lid and 1 inch from the center, so that I had plenty of room since I was going to end up with 2 there anyway. And then to lay out the gap, I just figured out how many I wanted in between here and use this cool rivet layout tool. And that's all it's for. It's just for laying out holes that are equally spaced. Used a Cleco in each one, started with an 1/8 inch hole in each end here, and laid that in. You see all that on the video. And then marked out where they were equally spaced. So you don't have one of those and you're doing stuff where you're laying out, whether it's just needing drill holes or rivet places, or even if you were wanting to lay out lines, all you'd have to do is mark the spot, and then if you have a square, you could come off of that with the line. And after I got all that done, I made some slugs that I could cut holes in the backside of this trunk lid, slide that slug in with a hole already drilled in it at the angle, the approximate angle that I wanted to come in. Ideally it would have been a little sharper, but not quite enough room to get most of them much sharper in there. But put the slugs in there with the holes already drilled, and that pushes right up against the inside of the skin here, and then I welded it to the outside skin, the underskin of the trunk lid.
Thanks for watching Allison Customs Project Car TV. Like us on Facebook and check us out at AllisonCustomsOnline.com.